Biosecurity is the most effective and the most cheapest way to protect your chickens. But unfortunately, most poultry farmers do not practice it. Not because they don't want to, but because they just don't get it. I mean, it's too vague and ambiguous, of course, and they just drop it and then do what they know best. Well, that is the reason why today's video is all about biosecurity. I'm here today to break it down, to make it as easy as possible for everyone to understand, even the layperson to be able to understand. So stick around. I want to make sure that you understand it and then you are able to practice it on your own. Why? Because you can't afford not to understand it as a poultry farmer. Alright guys, welcome back to Farm Secret, your number one informant when it comes to the secrets of poultry farming. So we are here to support poultry farmers, and so if you are here and then you love poultry, you are interested in poultry, you are already a poultry farmer, or you want to even invest in poultry farming, startup one, you would want to subscribe to the channel, you'd want to like, you'd want to comment, and you would want to smash that notification button. That way, anytime I drop a new content, you'll be the first to be notified. So biosecurity is a set of practices that you put in place, or the spread of diseases on your farm. But from that definition alone, people get things wrong. Of course, a lot of people get things wrong, but as you rightly understood right now, even the definition alone is self-explanatory, yet people get things wrong. They tend to focus on just one part of the entire biosecurity practices. Okay, it's a process, and as we move forward, you're going to see about 3 processes. So I am going to break it down into 3 sections. That way you can understand what it means to have a very good practices for biosecurity, okay, so that you don't go out there and then do abortion after delivery. All right, experts will tell you that biosecurity is more or less like using medication cover up for your sins. All right, using medication to cover up for your sins. You look at it like like rules, okay? They are more or less like rules and regulations that guide you on your way. Or you do not follow them, it will come back and ask you to pay. So usually you pay back with the life of your chicken or your profit and what have you, okay? At some point, you're going to pay. That is for sure. Okay, so look at biosecurity from this, layman's point of view, because you end up using part of your money to buy drugs for these birds, okay, and that is your profit going somehow. All right, you buy drugs whether you like it or not, okay, so you pay attention now, and attention will take care of you tomorrow. So please follow me as I take you through the 3 steps, or I say the 3 checkpoints in biosecurity. Okay, the first one is conceptual biosecurity. And then the second one is going to be structural biosecurity. Okay, the second one is going to be structural biosecurity. You see the structure as you see behind me. And then the third one is operational biosecurity. That is what many of us are used to anyway. I mean, that is what we practice sometimes, most of the time. Okay, so stick around and let me take you through all the 3. Yes, so if you are starting now, I'm telling you, you are fortunate to have come across this particular video. Okay, you are very fortunate to come across this particular video at this time of your life, even before you start your poultry farm. All right, so when we talk about the conceptual biosecurity, as the name suggests. This point talks about the whole point, okay? When you conceive, the idea of starting up a poultry farm, okay? When the whole idea comes up that you want to start up a poultry farm, not when you have started it already, okay? Even before you put up the structure, okay? What mental picture you are seeing up here that you want to start up a poultry farm, that is where the conceptual biosecurity comes in, all right? Biosecurity is not something that you think of when you now have your birds on the farm. No. Okay, it is something that you have to have in mind even before your birds are in. The conceptual biosecurity. It is not something that you have after your birds are on the farm. No, it's not about, how to wash your hand clean, how to change your clothes, and then how to use the deep bath here and there. No. That is more or less for the last one, the operational biosecurity, okay? So the whole idea of having a poultry farm, okay, there are some rules that should guide you. For example, where exactly are you going to site your farm, okay? It is not advisable to establish your farm at where many farmers or other farmers are around or can be found or are also having their farms over there. Why? Because it is so easy for wind to carry bacteria, viral infection to your farm for you. So you get to pay for someone else's sins already. So conceptual biosecurity comes in to guide you. You see, I told you earlier on, this is a checklist to guide you as to how, where, why you set up at where you are setting up. Okay, you have to consider all of those things. So imagine Mr. A has set up his or her, farm at this very location, and then probably they are not having the best of practices when it comes to management practices or biosecurity practices. They didn't handle birds well and all of that. Okay, you realize that diseases, wind can easily transfer diseases from Mr. A farm to Mr. B's farm, which he got started not too long ago. Do you follow? And then you realize that at the end of the day, Mr. B would spend money to take care of its birds or his birds. Okay. Whereas if he had considered conceptual biosecurity in the first place, he wouldn't have suffered all that loss. Okay. Or he wouldn't have even be found in such situation. So conceptual biosecurity is very, very, very necessary when you are starting up. That is why most people, whenever we make videos like these, they reach out that, hey, they want to start poultry farming and they want to be guided. After considering all of these things, conceptual, biosecurity will guide you that even with your farm, you don't have to situate it close to a road, a highway, that you'll be getting noise from horns of cars honking here and there. No, birds especially, layers, if you are going to do layer, you know, farming, are going to raise layers. Layers don't like too much noise, okay? They are easily stressed and they don't like too much noise. So if your farm is going to be around, you know, roads where a lot of noise, sudden noise that the birds wouldn't see before they realize they are hearing, is not going to help them. Okay, so some of these things, conceptual biosecurity will help you understand them even before you get started, because stress, noise, unnecessary agitation reduces egg production. Okay, these are the reasons why layers like the ones behind me, they don't like such noises. Okay, very soon we'll discuss about stress management, and once we discuss about stress management, you understand some of these things. um, Poultry farming is sweet when you understand some of these things and then put them into practice. So that is all part of the concept, okay, of conceptual, biosecurity. That is all part of, the concept. Okay, I want to have a poultry farm. What do I need to start? All right, it's all part of it. These are just part of the concept, So it's a good planning stage for every investor who want to invest in poultry farming. You shouldn't take some of these things for granted. If you must pay for the expert to guide you, to consult for you before you start anything, please do. It's better to do that now rather than to pay for it dearly later. If you have any questions already, I want you to go down there to the comment sections and then leave it there. All right, leave your questions in the comment section. I'll do my best to answer as many as possible, if not all. All right, so let us move on to the next on the list, which is structural biosecurity. Not a lot of people consider this, but some of them do. Okay, now this aspect has got to do with fencing your entire farmhouse. Okay, you fence it. Okay, you fence it to prevent intruders from coming in and all of that. So this is very, very necessary as well. Okay, if you do not fence your farm, you can have intruders always passing through. Imagine if you have other farmers, maybe crop farmers, right from their farm, they move through your farm, and then sometimes they pass in, they would want to come peep around and see how the birds are looking like and all that. Okay, you can't tell for sure whether or not they have infections, they are carrying infections, or they are carrying some diseases from where they are coming from. Okay, and then they end up infesting your flock. You wouldn't really want that. All right, you wouldn't really want that. And also, you can never tell whether or not people have come from a different farm and they have not disinfected their slippers, their shoes, their clothes, and what have you. Then they just get into your farm without proper scrutiny. You realize that all of these are going to cost you dearly. Okay, so structural biosecurity is very necessary. Okay, so that people cannot just walk in from anywhere and then get access to your birds. Okay, in some cases, I'm sure some of you who are watching today, you can tell that sometimes you go to certain farms and they do not allow you to go past the security section. You will not get access to even get close to where the birds are. This is not done because they don't like you. It is done because it is part of the structural biosecurity, because the birds are very, 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 very easy to come into contact with some of these health challenges, and they want to prevent it from happening. Another area you have to look at is the water. Yes, when it comes to structural biosecurity, is the water. Okay, where you place the water. Okay, the structure you place the water on, you have to make sure that that place is very cool. Okay, so that the water will always be cold and fresh for these birds, especially with broiler farmers. Okay, I think I've made a video talking about the best places. If you don't get the best place for cooling your water, you can even place the whole, water stand in the pen. If you don't get a proper shade outside where it will cool off, you can place it in the pen and it will be okay. Okay, I mean the roofing of the pen or the coop would keep it from getting hot. Okay, so all of these things are very necessary as well. Yes, so as part of the structural biosecurity, you must also consider the roads, especially if you have a very big farm. Okay, so if your farm is big, you have to consider the routes. Of course, at some point, vehicles are going to come to your farm, motorbike, tricycles, and even human beings and all of that. And so you want to make sure that you have demarcated the roads for cars, motorcycles, and all of that properly. Okay, you want to make sure that it is a good weather road, so cars can come in, motors can come in, whether or not it rains or it shines, they will still be motorable and then they can move. Okay, you don't want to have a farm where when it rains, cars will come in and then they will get stuck, they will be sinking and all of that. Okay, you really don't want that. So as part of constructional biosecurity, you have to make sure that your roads in your farm has been demarcated properly, and you must consider some of these things. Okay, in terms of your structure biosecurity, you have to make sure that you have sealed areas where rodents are going to come, rats and all of that. I think I've mentioned once before that rats are carriers of over 45 different, diseases and all of that. Okay, so you don't want to be having rats on your farm, not at all. So when designing your structure, you make sure that anything that will invite rats to your farm has been taken care of. With this in mind, you want to design your pen in a way that it prevents rats from entering the pen. Okay, it is very, very important. And of course, when you are constructing, you make sure that your storeroom that is going to store your feeds is very far from the pen house. Why? Because maize attracts, rats a lot. Okay, and if it is close, I you just don't want that. A lot can happen. They can even come and eat up or kill the birds here and there. It's a lot. All right, it's a lot. So finally, let's talk about operational biosecurity that we are most familiar with. Most of us are familiar with. Okay, it is very essential that you train your staff, you train your employees. You can't be the only one that knows everything. You will be in the farm all the time. You will not be in the farm all the time, my brother, my sister. Okay, so you have to train them. We call it, routine practices. So they know that they come to work at X time, and then you do this at 8 a.m., you do this at 9 a.m., you do this at 9:30 p.m., at 10 a.m., this is what you do, at 12, this is what you do. Okay, this is how you feed these bears, and then these bears, this is how you feed them, and this is why. These are all routine practices that you take your, you know, uh, employees through so that they know and then they understand why they do what they do. If you don't take them through all of that, which is part of the operational biosecurity, every time there will be a problem for you to solve. So they'll be calling you all the time, anywhere you are, that there's a problem that needs fixing. You don't want that, all right? You're doing at what time. You also have to make sure you show them things they shouldn't do, all right? Things they shouldn't do. And these are the things that are so essential to the farm, for that matter, the bear. So you realize that most people talk about these things a lot, which is why most people are familiar with it, all right? So you have to put that in mind. For instance, they know that they have to put foot deep, okay, to make sure that it is okay. You make sure you change it every day, every morning, okay? to ensure that change it every morning. You put, fresh disinfectant. You put fresh disinfectant in it to make sure that it is still, strong, to ensure that it is still strong to combat any pathogens. You understand? So these are some of the practices that, again, those who have big farms, okay, you have to change your outer clothing once you are entering the pen and all of that. So these are part of the operational biosecurity that your employees and even you yourself have to know and then practice on daily basis. They must see you practice it in order to make it easy for everybody. It becomes a norm. Yes. So you dip your foot in the deep food, and then you make sure that you don't carry any pathogens into the pen or bacteria infections and all of that into the pens and all that. You make sure that you don't bring even the feedbacks, okay, the feedbacks. You don't bring feedbacks from other farms onto your farm. You don't do that because you don't know whether or not it is infected. All right. All these things, you and everyone that works in and around the farm should know some of these things so that when they are operating around, they are always guided. All right. Now, in exposure of dead birds, let's say dead animals, of course, as a poultry farm, for God's sake, whether you like it or not, one way or the other, there are some birds who are going to die on the farm. Okay, in structural biosecurity, for instance, you have to have a place where you're going to incinerating, dead animals. Okay, you have to provide that so that when a bird is down, you have the right place to take care of it. If not, it comes back to haunt you. So you have to provide an incinerator very far away from the pen, okay, so that when you burn them, the fumes wouldn't go back to the pen, okay, which is going to, cause a lot of problems for the birds. So you have to have all of these things at the back of your mind, okay? Yes. So you see, with all this in mind, I'm sure you may be asking, wow, all of this, I got to do with all this? Yes. You see, poultry farming is not cheap. No. Poultry farming is not cheap at all, okay? If you are able to do it and do it well, it's going to pay you well as well, okay? But if you are some people and you want to just cut down costs almost all the time, okay, you end up spending most of the money you're trying to save back into buying medication or treatment for the birds. And at the end of the day, you come back to square one. All right. So all of these things are very necessary. They are very important. You must go through them if you want to enjoy success in poultry farming. So you see, all these three practices has to be, merged together. You have to make sure that you practice all three: the conceptual biosecurity, the constructural biosecurity, and then the operational biosecurity. You merge these things together, these three together, and then you practice it. Okay, you cannot tell me that you are practicing biosecurity if all you do and all you know and care about is the deep feet. Okay, that hey, before you enter, hey, put your legs in the foot dip. No, that's not enough. You've got to do more to understand. You have to practice all these things. Okay, you can't just tell me that I have a foot dip and then that's just about it. Okay. Hi guys, it's a wrap for today. Thank you so much for sticking around. I'm sure you have always wanted to learn a thing or two from Farm Secret. Thank you for sticking and then learning. But don't forget to subscribe, like, share, comment, okay? And then make sure you hit the notification button. Anytime we post, you'll be the first to be notified. Until we meet again, don't do anything that I wouldn't do. I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.